For today, in the name of freedom, we take the battle to them.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Transformers news video. There's nothing third party in this video actually. We will now just be solely talking about some official Hasbro reveals. Let me just start off with the big ones that obviously I know you're here for, and that is the Transformers 1 Deluxe Class Arachnid. Detail-wise, proportion-wise, I think that this is honestly fantastic, and I think it's a great interpretation, and a great recreation of the Arachnid that we saw in Transformers 1. And this figure could be one of the few, which this would be ironic, to not use that horrendous brown, yellowy, grey plastic that the TF1 figures love using. I spoke about it a lot in the previous official Hasbro reveals video, but I don't know what it is with the TF1 figures where they love using that horrific plastic color. But here, Arachnid in the movie was mostly black, so unless they only do it to her face, then we could maybe have the only other TF1 figure, apart from Sentinel, who does not have that horrendous color. And honestly, it would be hilarious if the only ones who don't have it are her and Sentinel, because they were definitely banging in the movie. Okay. But no, detail-wise, I'm actually really liking it. Her face, she looks like she's blowing out a dandelion. It's interesting. Well, her mouth, okay. Can't really see it in this image. We'll probably need a much closer look, but you can see the eyes and stuff that were sculpted there. And you can see that not only does she have heels on her main legs, but of course, her extra legs can be used to stand. And look, this is cool. This Arachnid I thought was pretty cool. Slightly underutilized in the movie, but let's be honest, there is no version of Arachnid they could ever do that would top the Transformers Prime version. And there's her alt mode. It was an odd alt mode, I'm going to be honest with you. This isn't like any sort of flack on Hasbro. This is purely just, it's a weird alt mode. It really is. But hey ho, Cybertronian. You can just chuck on the word Cybertronian to anything, and you could make like a Transformer that turns into nothing. You can justify it. I love how the edges of the propeller, the turbine thing, form those huge legs above her head. I absolutely love that. So yeah, please let me know what you guys think of Arachnid. And of course, the other 2026 figure which we gotta look at is Alpha Trion. Now, this is a Voyager, I believe, and he looks cool. It's probably just, I know it's been like 3 years at this point, but I'm still not used to these sizes. That, to me, looks like what a deluxe should be. And I've been saying this for so long that Transformers figures have just gone downhill. Yeah, sure, the engineering is better, but they're just tiny, man. They're puny. I'll get onto that later on. But just solely looking at Alpha Trion himself, I think that mold-wise, just like with Arachnid, he looks fantastic. He looks very similar to how he did in the movie. Yes, I am pretty upset that they didn't include the cape, especially since the cape is such an iconic part of him in the movie. And before you say, well, how would the cape even work? In 2019, they did it with Megatron. They did it with Dark of the Moon Megatron, where they included a fabric cape. But obviously, that would probably be too expensive for Hasbro now. They'd be like, oh my god, a piece of fabric. Oh god, that's so stressful. That's going to be so expensive. Oh, we're going to have to make it a commander class to justify the price. Nah, bunch of fucking cowards. That would be so cool, honestly, if they had included a piece of fabric with this thing that could be the cape. But also, one thing that they said is that they are going to be including the sort of dirty look that he had in the movie, because the mainline deluxe for TF1 was undamaged, no moss, nothing. He was just completely clean and new. Whereas this is going to look like how he did in the movie, which is very sort of broken, again, covered in moss. It's going to be like that. And honestly, that is going to look pretty sick. Of course, there's his quote unquote weapon, and I can't really blame them for this, because realistically, how are you gonna make the tail a decent looking accessory? It's the reason why people complain so much about Beast Wars Cheetor. Every single figure that Cheetor has, his tail just unplugs and becomes a weapon. I think the Rise of the Beast Voyager is like the only Cheetor figure I can think of that actually has the tail not become an accessory. I could be wrong. I don't remember if the Masterpiece Beast Wars one does that, but hey ho, I'm getting off track as usual. Then we get to the freaking alt mode, and honestly, when I first saw this, I genuinely thought for a second that this was the color they were going for. I was like, what is this Beast Wars Inferno looking ass dude? But then I was like, okay, never mind. No, 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 that's just the it's just the placeholder colors. I honestly, I'm completely I was just really stupid for that 1 second. But honestly, again, looks great. And also, it probably is just because he's more spread out in this mode. He's not as compact, but he looks way bigger here. Like, excluding the laser tail thing, which honestly, the tail looks great. The horn, feel like they could have made the horn a bit longer, but that's just nitpicking at that point. As far as the material goes, I don't really see them changing the material. I think that when this figure does release, it's gonna look exactly like this, like the tail and the horn. So honestly, really happy with it. Could it have been a brighter shade of pink? Yes, but hey ho, again, nitpicking. I'm just loving the detail there. Absolutely loving it. And, honestly, it could be just very similar engineering to the Rise of the Beast Cheetor. Because, like, looking at his robot mode, I honestly could see some things that were just taken from the Rise of the Beast Voyager. Yeah. I'll tell you one thing I'm hoping for is that his elbow joints are tighter, because not only my Studio Series Cheeto, but a few others as well, their elbow joints are just so floppy and loose. I believe it's his right arm. It like is in beast mode. If it's not compressed against the chest, it is not gonna stand up. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of Alpha Trion. Now, moving on to equally exciting news, we have new images of some figures that shall be dropping this year, and oh man, we have some good ones. So, starting off with honestly the one that I probably care the least about, and that is 86 movie Megatron. I'm so freaking sick of this line, and you know what? I am going to save that rant for the end. But yeah, here you have 86 Megatron. Looks exactly the same as any other freaking G1 Megatron we've gotten in the last 40 fucking years. It doesn't turn into a gun, obviously, but actually, no, I would like someone to explain this to me as to why Hasbro cannot make Megatron turn into a gun. Because, you can have toy guns exist. Like toy guns exist. So why can't Hasbro have Megatron turn into a gun? Like what would the difference be between this turning into a toy gun and like a Nerf gun, which fires actual bullets? Well, not actual bullets, but you know what I mean, like actually fires stuff. What's the difference? Why can't they do that? And if anyone would, care enough to explain that to me, I would really appreciate it. That sword is absolutely horrible. Oh my! Why is the handle or like the cross guard a different color to the to the blade? Here you have his tank mode, and look, I'm gonna be honest with you. I sort of always prefer Megatron turning into an aerial vehicle. I think that a tank is cool. I think a tank is cool, especially, I mean, it's more fitting than a gun. As much as I was just giving them crap of Megatron not turning into a gun, the gun is easily the worst alt mode Megatron has ever had. It is such a stupid idea. I don't understand people who defend that, being like, oh yeah, the almighty Megatron, the one who all Autobots are meant to fear, the leader of the Decepticons. And he turns into something that is completely useless unless another one of his goons is around who's able to use him. He's useless. A tank, I think, fixes all of that because you still get the firepower of the gun, but he's able to, actually be useful by himself. So, honestly, I think the tank looks pretty sick. Here's an image of the back of the box, and yeah, pretty cool. You can see it transforms in 54 steps. Bloody hell. That's pretty crazy. I think the Rise of the Beast Optimus Primal, I think, was something similar. Because that was something I was surprised. It was like, oh my god, like 40 steps or 30 something steps. That's insane. This, I think, would actually be a lot of fun. As much crap as I was giving this figure, I think that it could be pretty fun. Now you can see on the right there, someone is holding the gun. The gun version of Megatron. I don't know who it could be because we just see the blue and we just assume, oh, it's Soundwave. But I don't think Soundwave has. I'm pretty sure Soundwave has more white on his arm, isn't it? I'm not a genius when it comes to the G1 designs, but I'm pretty sure Soundwave's forearms are white. So I seriously doubt that that's Soundwave. You guys let me know who you think it is. And then the worst of the worst is the box. Now, this is not a nitpick on Megatron, on this Megatron specifically, but just overall the leader classes. Look, I know I've complained endlessly about how Transformers figures have just gone down the drain because they are smaller than they used to be and they're more expensive than they used to be. But this is just insulting. This and the Age of Extinction Prime, because these boxes, I like the new boxes, don't get me wrong, but back when Studio Series was in its prime, pun unintended, the boxes were not only bigger, but the figures took up the entire box. Like there would be like Grimlock. Grimlock, I don't have the official Grimlock, I have the knockoff, oversized one. But I know that Grimlock could like barely stay in the box. He literally took up the entire packaging. And nowadays, the boxes are smaller and the figures look so tiny in them. So either make the figures bigger, which they would never do that because that would be a good decision, or make the boxes smaller. This is just a waste of space, or at least give him a bunch of accessories because that entire thing there, that does not look presentable to me. If you had all the accessories displayed in the box, like all that blue on the left, if the accessories were stored there, this would look like 10 times as presentable. If I saw that on the shelf, I would be more tempted to pick it up. Look, that could just be a me thing. It probably is, but it just looks sad. I also feel like the figure should have been on the left more because it's sort of being blocked a bit by the render, and the left is just so barren. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm complaining too much. One last thing I will add about this Megatron before we get to like the second last bit of news is the legs. So the legs in this image look gray. However, silver. In other in-hand images, it's like a light blue. And oh my god, there are people actually defending this by saying, oh yes, well, sometimes in the G1 cartoon, it's lit in this way and it looks blue. And I'm just there like, you people are exactly the reason why, like, well, not you people, sorry, but that reasoning is probably the same reason as to why the TF1 figures look so freaking ugly. Because my theory as to why all the Transformers 1 Studio Series figures use that sort of yellowy brownish plastic is because they have that tint in the movie. They are lit in that way because obviously the planet is gold. So when the light is shining on them, they look sort of brownish. But Megatron, Megatron in the movie is clearly silver. He is clearly a shiny silver. And the figure should realistically look like the Studio Series Megatron for Megs from the first Transformers movie. You know, it should look like that. But he just sort of looks terrible. You know, it looks like a snot color. That's what it looks like to me. So, yeah. And with this Megatron, I don't know, it's clearly the Megatrons, clearly. With this Megatron, it's the same thing. People are like, oh, well, it's lit this way in the cartoon, so it looks blue. That doesn't mean Hasbro should make it blue. But regardless, I'm just going to move on because otherwise I'm going to be complaining forever. Let's go on to something much more exciting than another G1 Megatron. And that is this girlie, who I thought was named Widowmaker, but clearly not. KSI Widow. I have some good things to say, and I have some bad things to say. The first good thing I'm gonna say, I mean, this isn't the first like in-hand look we've seen of the figure, but my biggest positive I can give this thing is that head sculpt. I love the head sculpt. It is so freaking cool. I love the details in the face. I love all the panel lines. I love the eyes, the mouth, the dreads. Oh, it just looks so freaking awesome, man. It really, really does. But even just looking at the figure as a whole, I quite like the arm cannons. I think those look really, really cool, to be honest with you. I love the door wing, sorry, the doors sort of forming this cape for her. The legs, I think, are absolutely terrible. Like that is some like I don't even know, like a Legion's class engineering. That is absolutely awful, Hasbro. You're telling me you couldn't have given her proper feet? You just gave her like a fold out piece of plastic? Oh my god. One thing, this isn't a negative, is the color, the choice, like the color that they chose, I think is interesting, because it sort of reminds me of the color for the original Age of Extinction Grimlock figures. You know, the sort of like brownish gold that they chose. Um, it's interesting. I thought that it was gonna be like the same color as Stinger, if not sort of closer to how Stinger was in the movie. Because in the movie, Stinger was more of a like I don't know, like a pinkish red color, whereas the figure is just red. So I thought that that's what they were gonna do with this girl, is make it like this pinkish red. That's what I thought anyway. Or hell, maybe even pink, because the vehicle mode I think is freaking amazing. Look, I'm still not a fan of the windshield sort of being two separate pieces that combine down the middle, but from this angle at least, without the light shining on it, it looks alright. But yeah, no, I thought that this was gonna be like a pinkish red color because that's the color that the McLaren was in the last night. I know this is for Age of Extinction, but I'm pretty like 99% sure I remember. Actually, not 100% sure. I know that I remember that McLaren having a character name. Like it was sort of revealed before the movie came out. Oh yeah, this McLaren turns into this robot. It's an Autobot and everything like that. But in the movie, I was so surprised when it didn't transform. I was like, what the hell, man? So yeah, I thought that this was gonna be like their way of giving us a figure of that lost transformer, shall we say? But no, the vehicle mode, apart from that line, in the middle of the windshield where the two panels combine. Apart from that, I think that this looks fantastic. And there she is in the box, and man, this has got to be like some of the best box art I've seen in a while. I love that render so much. I love it. It just looks so creepy, dude. It looks really, really good. I just love this thing. It looks so freaking cool. Honestly, if you fixed the legs, if you made the legs less chunky and you had the windshield sort of be one piece, I think that this could be like one of the best Transformers figures we've had in years. Well, like looks wise anyway. And then on the box, of course, you can see this is an officially licensed McLaren Thank God, because Ferrari can just go suck a dick, honestly, with how they handle like giving out the license and stuff, which is why we've never had a legal figure of Dino, and even like previous figures of when like with the sideways, that wasn't a licensed Audi, so the vehicle mode was inaccurate. So it's nice when the vehicles are actually licensed. Obviously this character didn't appear in the movie, so obviously they just gave it like a generic description. Oh yeah, she's a drone controlled by Galvatron. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of the Studio Series concept art, KSI Widow. And then just one last little tag on as far as like the figures go is we do have an image of the box for Studio Series TF1 Starscream, and it looks awesome. Absolutely love it. Pretty much exactly what I expected for the TF1 Starscream. That render, especially with that smirk on his face, I think is very Screamer-esque. So fantastic. The plastic color does not look as bad in this image, probably because it is lit by a lot of bright white lights. But yeah, whatever. And then obviously here's a look at the back of the box, and it says Starscream leads High Guard fighting corruption from the shadows. Wait, Starscream leads High Guard fighting corruption from the shadows. I'm pretty sure there's supposed to be a "the" there. I'm pretty sure there's supposed to be a "the." The High Guard. But what I think is the biggest piece of bullshit that I have seen in the Transformers community in my life is this. Is they put out a poll on the stream saying, do you want to see toys or characters from season 1 and 2 of the G1 cartoon that did not appear in the 86 movie? Now, many of us know that the 86 subline has just been the sickness of the Studio Series line. It has infected it, it has ruined it, because the Studio Series line felt like something that the movie fans could finally be excited for. Getting accurate versions of these designs that we have loved for so long because they actually deserved it. Then with 86, it was like, okay, this is cool, get a couple figures a year. And then this is all it sort of became. I've said it several times. We haven't gotten Transformers on the shelves since December of 2020. And even now, in June of 2025, almost July, there are still 86 things on the shelves. The only Transformers that are on the shelves are things like 86 Cup, 86 Blur, all this useless shit. Because these G1 designs are so simple, they're just blocks. And it's been the same designs for the last 41 freaking years. Why are we still getting figures of these same damn designs just with different transformations? And I've been pissed off by it for so long, and I was so happy because this was supposed to be like the last big year of the G1 designs, of SS86. And now they're pulling this shit with us, going, oh yeah, well actually, we could be doing the things on the show as well, which completely ruins what Studio Series was meant for. It was meant for things only for the movies. And now we're getting this absolute garbage. And that is because of the selfish people. I say selfish. I'm only saying selfish because it was against a decision, like it was the opposite decision as to what I would have made. I'm not saying these people are actually selfish, but it's because of the people that voted, yeah, we want that. We want more of this G1 garbage. Please do it. We don't have any figures of these things. It's only been 4 decades. Oh my god. Oh lord. All Transformers fans that exist in 2025, we will all be dead of old age. Hell, we'll probably be decomposed. Hasbro probably won't even exist by the time that, the next, like, Age of Extinction, like, by the time half of the Age of Extinction cast is complete. The Last Night, clearly, not getting any love. The only listing that I've seen, or that I can think of right now for The Last Night, is Megatron. And come on, there's so many characters. Why are we still doing the same shit? And the thing is, Hasbro, you're not slick. I see you. This is their way of avoiding doing the more complicated designs because, as I said earlier, Hasbro is a very, very cheap company nowadays. They don't care anymore. South Africa? Oh, yeah, that's not in the US or anywhere important. Stop sending them Transformers. Who cares about them? Oh, we need to cut budgets, man. Make the figures smaller. Make them smaller, and if they're more than two steps to transform them, make them a leader class because that's too complicated for engineering. Oh, we finished all of the designs from the first three Transformers movies. Now we're on to the complicated ones. Oh, these may take more than 10 steps to do. Uh, you guys want to see more G1, right? Yeah. We'll do that. We'll do more G1 stuff because, we really don't want to do those Age of Extinction and Last Night designs. They're scary. Oh, gee, fucking hell. I just don't get it. I really don't. What the question that they should have asked is, would you guys like to see figures for Predacons Rising? Because the only movie that has been like the only Transformers movie that does not have any Studio Series figures is the Transformers Prime Predacons Rising epilogue. Obviously that movie. That is the only one that doesn't have any figures. And I think that that deserves it way more than the 86 film and the G1 series. Because that series, as I said, you've gotten so many figures. You choosing to have more G1 figures in the 86 line is just selfish and inconsiderate to the movie fans. And I'm not one to disregard people's preferences. I always am the person to go, you know what? I may disagree with you, but I respect your opinion. But this, I can't. I cannot respect this. I'm sorry. This is unbelievable. 86%. Wow, I only just realized that percentage number. But yeah, I can't. I'm sorry. I cannot defend this. And the thing is, I know that there's at least one person there. Because obviously, TF Hype Guy is a legend in the Transformers community. He single-handedly gave Transformers 1 like 90% of its box office run. I know that there's at least one person here who voted yes just for the memes, just because they know how much he and many other people hate the 86 line. It's been 7 years since the Studio Series line started, and we still do not have any Dinobots apart from Grimlock. No Slug, no Scorn, no Strafe. Like what the hell? That is ridiculous. I honestly, I don't even remember. Was there a Bugatti Drift? I don't think there was a Bugatti Drift. I know there was a helicopter one. I don't think there was one that turned into a Bugatti. Where's Age of Extinction Hound? Where's the redo of Lockdown? Where the Dinobots? And then for the last night, where's that? Where's Nitro Zeus, Dreadbot, Berserker, well, okay, we have Mohawk, Quintessa, Infernicus, Bull, was his name Bulldog? I don't think his name was Bulldog, but the World War II Transformer. Why are we still getting the same bullshit? The focus right now should be Transformers 1. No, none of this 86 movie crap, and if you're gonna, do other movies, as I said, Predacons Rising deserves it because Transformers Prime is easily the best Transformers show. There isn't any competition in my opinion. It was absolutely fantastic, and the only figures that people can get of those designs are either the originals, which, high prices, or the APC toys. And you can't get, obviously, with those are third party things, so you can't get like the Decepticon logos and Autobot logos and stuff. So Hasbro, why are you not making these figures? They know how much people love Transformers Prime, and the fact that there's a Predacons Rising movie. If there wasn't a movie for TFP, then fair enough, I would just shut up. But the fact that there's a movie, that gives you the excuse to make figures of Optimus Prime, whether you want to choose classic Optimus or Beast Hunters Optimus as to, your decision. You can have Bumblebee, Smokescreen, freaking Bulkhead, Predator King. Oh my god, Predator King would be so cool. You know, Starscream, Megatron, freaking Unicron if you want to. It just makes no sense. Hasbro is only choosing those, like they really wanted people to choose, yes, I want more G1 things. Simply so they could just avoid doing more Age of Extinction and the Last Night stuff. Now, yes, I know that there are listings for Age of Extinction things like Evasion Mode Prime and stuff for next year, but this is long game. You know, this is long game. And as I said, by the time like half of the cast is complete for Age of Extinction and the Last Night, all of us will be dead and in the ground. Whew, that was a long ass video, dude. I'm so sorry. I just got so carried away with that rant about the 86 things, cause my god, it really pissed me off. But anyway, please let me know what you guys think on all the reveals today. You know, Arachnid, Alpha Trion, Megatron, Widowmaker. I'm still gonna call her Widowmaker. I don't care. The the Starscream box, all of that. Please let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below, especially about this whole Studio Series 86, you know, season 1 and 2 of G1 stuff. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. And if you did enjoy this video, then please leave a like, subscribe, and goodbye.